Hi everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today. Just a note, if you are unable to hear or see the presentation at any time, please raise your hand and a colleague will go and investigate that for you straight away. Okay, let's get started. I'm Elaine Clayton and I'm very happy to be joined today by our permitting team here at the Coal Authority. Today we're going to be taking you through our permitting process. Please feel free to ask any questions throughout the webinar via the question function, and we will look to respond to these after the webinar in the form of an FAQ document. So, a quick run through the agenda. We are going to be talking to you today about who we are at the Coal Authority. We're going to be setting the scene, so let you know a bit about what's taken place that might require a permit. We're going to talk you through the different kinds of permits, the outcomes following the permit process, and then a quick run through the support available here with the Coal Authority.
Hello, I'm Stuart Walker. I'm responsible for managing the permitting team and also have responsibility for licensing.
Hello, I'm Helen Hartley. I'm responsible for helping applicants to apply for a permit, and I aim to offer advice and guidance so that developers can obtain a permit as quickly and efficiently as possible. I'm also responsible for processing the closure information sent in by developers as required under the permit terms and conditions, so that our records can be updated.
Hello, I'm Jake Morris. I'm responsible for determining permit applications and working with developers to put in place the right control measures and safeguards to ensure the public safety in the Coal Authority's property are not adversely affected by works done under a permit.
But first, a little more about the Coal Authority. We are a non-departmental government body responsible for certain legacy functions inherited from the British Coal Corporation, formerly known as the National Coal Board. Our brand helps and hinders. It does link us firmly with the coal measures which we were set up to manage. However, our remit has increased and it does not allude to the work we do off the coalfield or in protecting the environment. People are sometimes confused, perhaps that we exist at all, and what for. Also, sometimes there is a misconception that we mine coal and operate pits. This is understandable given the companies that manage the coal measures before us, but first let me clear up who we are and what we do, as this will help us put our permitting process in context. The Coal Authority was founded in the Coal Industry Act 1994 to manage certain functions and liabilities previously dealt with by the British Coal Corporation. The coal measures in Great Britain are a very large asset and originally belonged to individual landowners. This changed in 1938 when ownership of most coal in Great Britain passed to the state. Furthermore, in 1947, nationalisation of the coal industry saw the creation of the National Coal Board to manage these coal measures and also to be responsible for their exploitation, chiefly through mining. After almost 50 years, the state-sponsored National Coal Board British Coal Corporation came to an end with the privatisation of the coal mining industry in 1994. This was in line with other state-sponsored companies at the time, and the Coal Industry Act passed certain responsibilities to us at the Coal Authority, which include protecting the public and environment from the impacts of coal mining legacy and also managing hazards resulting from coal mining legacy, such as subsidence claims from historic mining. Property management, including coal tips, a national network of pumping shafts, and mine gas vents to manage mine water and gas. Information management of coal mining data, including keeping mining records up to date to provide accurate data to inform the planning system and mining reports. Licensing, but not mining coal, regulating the industry and issuing agreements relating to our ownership of underground property. Although not originally a statutory duty, We also manage mine water, including the management of 70 plus mine water treatment schemes, which protect drinking water aquifers and the environment. We are arguably the largest estate owner in Great Britain. Our 26,000 square kilometre underground holding is multiplied by many times due to coal mine workings being above and below each other. We have estimated our mining legacy liability at almost £3 billion. We have 2 million residential properties sitting on our shallow coal mine workings, and 20,000 properties have a mine entry either within or within 1 metre of the boundary. All of these are regularly inspected by us. We deal with over 1,100 hazards and subsidence claims that are submitted to us each year, and we have a 42% acceptance rate. Some more facts for the permitting system. 11% of Great Britain is occupied by the coalfield, and 7 million residential properties lie within. 9 million residential properties lie within Britain's coalfield. 173,500 recorded mine entries. 130,000 properties lie within 20 metres of at least one mine entry. And we deal with 9,000 coalfield planning consultation responses per year relating to development proposals on the coalfield. Do you know what is beneath your feet? Details of our known underground estate can be found on the Coal Authority interactive viewer, which you can see on the screen. On the viewer at the moment is an extract showing an area of South Yorkshire near the M1-M18 interchange. For example, the red crosses represent individual mine entries. As you can see, this is a highly developed area, so the potential for intersecting one of these features on any new development is high. The viewer includes details of other mining legacy features, including mine entry positions, shallow coal mine workings, and probable shallow coal mine workings. It also includes information on the coal measures, including coal outcrops, geological features, and the development high-risk area within Great Britain. This is a publicly available data source which covers the coal mining data we hold. Viewing this is free of charge, and many householders, landowners and developers choose to check their proposals against this data source. Historic mining causes hazards today. We do not have records of all historic mining legacy. The key date is 1872, when the legal requirement to deposit mine abandonment plans came in. As you can see from the graph, up to 100 million tonnes of coal was being mined by then, and not all is therefore recorded or known. The potential for unknown mining legacy features therefore is high. Hence, we have probable underground workings on our interactive viewer. The Coal Authority still own these mine entries and mine workings even if we do not know about them. So you will need a permit even if there is the potential to intersect our underground property due to the hazards involved.
We often get asked, do I need a permit? For planning purposes, the coalfield is divided into high and low risk development areas. We are a statutory consultee on all planning applications on the coalfield and provide bespoke responses for those in our high risk area. Standing advice applies elsewhere. The high risk areas are made up of specific mining legacy features that pose risk to new developments. It is likely that if works are required to mining legacy features in this area, then a permit is required. As we have seen, the majority of coal in Great Britain is owned by the state and managed by the Coal Authority. Therefore, any works to coal or coal mining legacy features on any part of the coalfield requires a permit from the Coal Authority. The chief aims of the permitting system are to protect public safety in relation to our mining legacy assets and to protect the integrity of our underground property. A permit is required for investigation, treatment of coal seams, mine workings or mine entries, disturbing ground within the zone of influence of a mine entry, drilling of boreholes that will pass through seams or workings. Developers should consider appropriate working methods, for example, remedial strategies, drilling and trenching, and mitigation of risks associated with disturbing seams, workings or mine entries, and must take into account mine gas monitoring and flushing medium. Applicants can apply online or via post. All site investigation and remediation requires prior written authorisation under a permit. 2,000 permits are applied for each year, 85% of which are for site investigation. Application fees can be found on our website, are based on the proposed extent and activity proposed. Proposals are assessed for effects on public safety and sustainability in protecting our assets. The permit holder indemnifies us for 12 years as part of the terms and conditions.
We risk assess proposed activities within the authority's mining property that could endanger the public and our assets. We check that the authority's mining information data to inform applicants of hazards present on a given development site. We ensure that developers undertake their work in a way that will not give the authority or the public purse any increased liability, take mining circumstances into account, and act appropriately in terms of sustainable development. We aim to reduce the authority's ongoing liabilities for subsidence and surface hazards, as our permits contain a 12-year indemnity against claims. We aim to gain information on any work done to the Coal Authority estates and update our systems, which means better mining reports for the public. We expect developers to take into account risks associated with their proposals. For example, how will the site be remediated and be safe for future developments? Will adjacent development or the public be affected by the works? Are hazards such as gas migration and ground stability being considered? And are adequate control measures in place to protect public safety and property? We will assess the answer to these questions and issue a letter of mining circumstance as part of the permit documentation. This will enable the developer to undertake a suitable and sufficient risk assessment in relation to their proposals. All of our permitting documents are available on the website, links to which were improved at the suggestion of one of the drilling companies and are now accessible direct from the homepage without the need to follow a long string. The first document is the application form, and this has been developed along the principles of source, pathway and receptor, and calls for a site-specific risk assessment from a public safety viewpoint. In considering each application, the authority applies a classification of either low, medium or high risk to the activity. We will not grant permission for any medium or high risk activity, but rather work with the applicant to lessen the risk to as low as reasonably practicable. Applicants can also apply online using the portal and submit this electronically together with payment. This ensures that applications can be taken outside of office hours and at the convenience of the developer. The top right picture shows workings exposed in open cast coal mines. There are significant voids, and it's not hard to imagine how much grout would be needed to stabilise this area. It is interesting to think that this picture is a snapshot of something which has stood undisturbed for over 200 years, and as you can see, there is little in way of support for the roof. What is of interest here is the lack of pillars due to pillar robbing as they withdrew from the mine. The pillar and stall method of extraction replaced the bell pit workings. Access to the workings was either through shafts or adits. Although now seldom used for coal mining, it's still common in use for ironstone, gypsum and limestone mines. This method has little initial subsidence, but eventually this occurs if the pillars settle into the mine floor or collapse due to overload from weathering, or if deliberately removed. The effect on the ground surface is then similar to that resulting from more traditional longwall mining extraction, but is likely to be erratic and independent of time. Shallow workings cause building and development problems because dimensions and condition of the rooms and pillars are often difficult to ascertain. This shaft was discovered during trenching work, and I'm sure it gave the JCB operator a couple of sleepless nights. Had the developer got the correct permit and information from the authority, this would not have been such a surprise. This was a near miss in Macclesfield. A coal authority consultation may well have prevented this. This shaft was discovered while breaking out a concrete flow of a pneumatic breaker. The householder heard rubble hit water 35 metres below his feet. This shaft was later found to be void to 75 metres depth. This slide aims to basically illustrate the mechanism of potential mine gas ingress into unprotected properties using a source, pathway and receptor model. Mine workings naturally contain a mixture of gases which can be both toxic and explosive. These are considered to be the source. Rising mine water can force gases into shallower mine workings and exert a considerable positive pressure when the gas becomes confined. Equally, air flush from exploratory drilling methods has the potential to exert movement in a body of mine gas. At times of low pressure weather systems, the drop in the barometer can be a sufficient mechanism to exert an influence on the gas within the mine workings. Mine entries or fissures can allow gas to escape to the surface. This is a pathway. Confined spaces, such as basements within buildings, have little ventilation and mine gas can build up within these spaces. These can have an adverse effect on human health and pose a risk to public safety. These are receptors. Spontaneous combustion of coal is where coal catches fire without an external heat source. Spontaneous combustion usually occurs in coal as a result of air flowing over it. Coal will oxidise in the presence of air, thereby releasing carbon dioxide and heat. Where the flow of air is insufficient to carry away the generated heat, the coal will warm and increase the rate of oxidation. In this way, the coal's temperature can increase until it auto-ignites. However, where the airflow is very low, there will be insufficient oxygen for oxidation, and the process will stop. The process of spontaneous combustion, therefore, requires insufficient air to allow oxygen or combustion, but not so much as to cool the coal. The left picture shows spontaneous combustion of coal in the Parkgate seam. Air had got into this exposed seam and caused a chemical reaction leading to the build-up of heat and eventual self-combustion. The picture on the right is less clear, but shows a spontaneous combustion event. Nearby air drilling is thought to have caused spontaneous combustion, which then produced carbon monoxide. An investigation permit is required to carry out ground investigation of mining features or in areas where these may be present. This includes the drilling of boreholes or excavation works in any area which has the potential to intersect, disturb or enter any of the coal authority's mining interests. Applications for investigation permits commonly involve drilling boreholes into seams or old workings or excavations to locate historic mine entries such as shafts and adits. Permit applications are required for these works to enable permitting managers to assess the potential for any adverse effects on public safety that may result from such works. Permits are also required for the treatment of workings and mine entries. The above image shows a typical treatment site where old shallow workings are being stabilised through drilling and grouting. This involves drilling multiple holes for the injection of grout to fill or consolidate any voids or broken ground beneath the site. Such works are often a condition on planning decisions and are required prior to the commencement of development on the site. Treatment permits are also required for remediation of any located mine entries. The two images on the left show two different examples of historic shafts. The upper left image shows a brick-lined shaft which is still void. As the shaft is not filled, this was likely originally capped at rockhead with old timbers or similar waste materials following closure of the pit. The lower left image shows a different example of a shaft. This one is not brick-lined but has been filled with colliery spoil. Permits are granted for various treatment methods depending on the location and condition of the shafts, the surrounding geology, and the proposed future development of the site. This can include filling, grouting, plugging, and capping of shafts or adits. Both images on the right are examples of completed or ongoing shaft capping works. In some cases, filling or grouting of a shaft column may be undertaken prior to the construction of a cap. Any mine entry treatment designs require specific engineering properties, and these will vary depending on where a shaft is located within a future development. All treatment designs are reviewed by the Coal Authority's engineering team to ensure any designs will provide a suitable level of protection of public safety which will stand the test of time. Any ongoing or proposed permit site may be visited by a member of the permitting team to ensure that any works are in accordance with the conditions of the permit. These will usually focus on the flushing medium being used, the gas monitor that's been in place, and any public safety concerns, as well as any adverse effects on Coal Authority property or the environment.
We would normally seek to inspect certain works according to their risk classification. We will continue to liaise with the applicant in respect of the provision of closure, mining information, and the timely completion of works. Applicants have a dedicated manager they can contact to liaise with. We do not use a call centre and seek to provide the best customer service. We look forward to receive a completion report and closure form which identifies the outcome of the works. Data is passed to our mining information colleagues, enabling our mining database to be updated. It is essential we receive closure information to enable us to provide up-to-date mining reports to the public and accurate information to permit applicants on mining legacy features.
We do hope you've enjoyed our permitting webinar. If you have any questions, can you put your hand up or put them in as a question on the system? Our permit contact details are on the slide that you're currently seeing. You can call us or email us within the office hours that you see. Equally, the information on how to apply to a permit is on our web address, the web address on the screen.
Thanks guys, that was brilliant. I hope that was useful to you all. Just a reminder that we're here to support you with our services and extensive knowledge here at the Coal Authority. We provide specialist information and advice to a wide range of services and a number of industry sectors, and you can see some examples of these on the screen now. Information about all of these services can be found on our website groundstability.com, but if you would like to have a chat with one of the team directly, then please don't hesitate to call the number that you can see on the screen. There'll always be somebody to answer your questions and supply the appropriate guidance. So that concludes the webinar for today. I hope that you've all enjoyed listening and have found the content useful. As I mentioned at the start, we will be gathering all the questions throughout today's webinar, and we'll look to supply these with responses in the way of a handy FAQ document which will be shared with all attendees once all the webinars have been completed. If you have any other questions or comments and would like to contact us directly, our contact details can be found on the screen, and a recording of today's webinar will be available via our YouTube channel later on in the week. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.